I want you to imagine something. Picture a city, but not just any city. We're talking about a legendary place from 5,000 years ago, one that was said to literally shine out in the middle of the sea.
You know, the ancient scriptures, they talk about this place with just, well, almost unimaginable wealth. Get this, 900,000 palaces. And not just built of rock, but crafted from gold, silver, and precious gems. It was supposedly so perfectly planned it would make our modern cities look kind of clumsy.
But then, poof, it was gone. In a single day, this incredible, glittering city was just swallowed whole by the ocean. It completely vanished from the map and from history. For thousands of years, that's all it was, a story, a beautiful myth, a religious tale. But what if it wasn't? What if, waiting under all that water, there was actual proof? What if the legend was real? Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand what we're looking for, we have to start with the legend itself. The story of how this impossible city was even born.
So, according to the ancient Puranas, Lord Krishna needed a new capital, a safe haven for his people. The story goes that he prayed to Varuna, the god of the sea, who literally gifted him a huge piece of land right out of the ocean. And who do you get to build a divine city? Well, the divine architect, of course, Vishwakarma. The result was Dwarka, the city of gates. And it wasn't just pretty, it was a masterpiece of engineering. It had roads that went straight to a massive port, really sophisticated irrigation, and oh yeah, those 900,000 palaces made of gold and silver. It was designed to be totally self-sufficient.
But here's the thing. Even a city built by the gods wasn't invincible. Its fate was sealed not by an invading army, but by two really powerful curses. First up, there was the curse from Queen Gandhari. After losing all of her sons in the great Mahabharata war, she was overcome with grief, and she blamed Krishna. She cursed him, saying that his own people, the Yadavas, would turn on each other and destroy themselves. Then came the second curse, and this one was a self-inflicted wound. Krishna's own son, Samba, arrogantly mocked a group of sages. Big mistake. They were furious and cursed him to give birth to an iron pestle, an object that would be the very weapon of the Yadavas' destruction. You see the theme here, right? It wasn't an outside enemy they had to fear. It was the rot from within. And just like that, the prophecies started to come true. The Yadavas, they grew arrogant and complacent. Then one day, during a festival, a drunken argument spiraled out of control into a full-blown civil war. They fought and killed each other, just as Gandhari had foretold. Soon after, when Lord Krishna left the mortal world, the ocean simply took back the land it had given. The great city of Dwarka was gone, slipping silently beneath the waves. And for centuries, that's where the story ended. A beautiful, tragic myth. But what if it wasn't just a story? In the 20th century, people started to wonder, and the actual physical search for Dwarka began. It all kicked off quietly in the 1930s. Local fishermen, and even pilots flying overhead, they started reporting weird things, strange straight lines and grid patterns under the water, stuff that just didn't look natural. By 1963, the Archaeological Survey of India started poking around, and they found ancient pottery near Dwarka. And then, in the 70s, came the big one, a copper plate from the 6th century that straight up said Lord Krishna used to live right there. Suddenly, the myth was starting to look a whole lot like history. And this is where one man really steps into the spotlight. An archaeologist who decided to bet his entire career on the idea that Dwarka wasn't a myth, but a real historical place just waiting to be found. His name was Dr. S.R. Rao. Now, Dr. Rao was up against a wall of skepticism. The academic world at the time mostly thought, these are just religious fables, not history books. Looking for Dwarka is a total waste of money and time. But Dr. Rao saw it differently. For him, these ancient texts were historical documents, filled with real clues about geography and architecture that could lead to a real city. Now, have a look at this number. 800 rupees. That's it. That was the tiny shoestring budget Dr. Rao had when he started his first expedition. Think about that. No fancy tech, hardly any funding, and most people thinking he was crazy. He was so dedicated that he sometimes paid for his team's food out of his own pocket. That's not just a job, that's a conviction. And you know what? His belief paid off, big time. Between 1983 and 1992, his team went on 12 expeditions, and they found real, tangible proof. 30 meters underwater, they discovered a massive stone wall, over 500 meters long. They found stone pillars from what must have been a huge building. And maybe most importantly, they found these unique three-holed stone anchors, physical evidence of a major advanced ancient port. And the artifacts they found? They were dated to the exact time frame of the scriptures. Dwarka wasn't just a story anymore. So Dr. Rao laid all this amazing groundwork. But to really seal the deal, the search needed technology he could only have dreamed of. Fast forward to the 21st century, when a new wave of exploration began, using high-tech tools to prove it once and for all. And this was a serious operation. We're talking a massive collaboration between India's top scientific and naval groups. They brought out the big guns, advanced sonar to map the entire seafloor, and even sub-bottom profilers that could see structures buried under the sand and mud. They sent artifacts off to international labs for super precise carbon dating. This wasn't just diving and hoping anymore. This was a systematic scientific mission to prove a city existed. So the crucial point is this number, 9,000. While they were dating all the artifacts, one piece of pottery came back with a date that just, well, it stunned everyone. It was 9,000 years old. I mean, can you imagine? This was a historical bombshell. A 9,000-year-old settlement would make this place way older than the famous Harappan civilization. It basically rewrites the timeline of Indian history. It even makes you wonder if the real story of Dwarka is thousands of years older than even the legends say. But it also raised a huge question. If this city is that old, how in the world did it end up at the bottom of the sea? The myth had its answer, but what did science have to say? And this is where it all clicks into place. The sea level rise theory provides a perfect scientific match. See, climate data shows that about 9,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, the sea level in the Arabian Sea was a lot lower. As the glaciers melted, sea levels rose dramatically all over the world, swallowing up coastal cities. So the ancient story of a city being reclaimed by the sea, turns out it's backed up by hard science. And just like that, a journey that started with an ancient story, carried on by one man's incredible belief, finally came full circle with scientific proof, bringing a truly lost piece of our history back to the surface. You can see the whole journey right here. It starts with a thriving ancient city, goes dark for thousands of years, then slowly comes back into focus through clues and one man's quest, and finally gets proven by modern science, all leading up to its recognition on the national stage. That final step happened in February 2024 when India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi actually went down to the site with Navy divers. He made an offering of a peacock feather, which is a powerful symbol of Lord Krishna. And that gesture, it was more than just symbolic. It was the moment that the lost city of Dwarka was officially welcomed back, not just as a myth, but as a real treasured piece of India's heritage. You know, when you boil it all down, the story of Dwarka teaches us something really profound. It shows that faith and science don't have to be enemies. They can actually be two different roads that lead to the same truth. One path gives you the belief, that spark that makes you look for something amazing, and the other path gives you the tools to actually prove that it's real. So this whole 90-year journey has turned a timeless legend into tangible history, and it leaves us with this one absolutely thrilling question. If the magnificent golden city of Dwarka was real all along, what other myths from all around the world are actually just histories we haven't found yet?